All right, welcome back. We got our TRX4M on the bench. This is our brushless one we have. We're going to add some brass today. So we're going to throw it on our carpet ramp, see how many degrees we can get going up stock. Well, I say stock, in the current form it is now. Then we're going to add all this brass. We got the front knuckles, diff covers, which are brass. We're going to throw this brass on there, do the test again, and see if it works. So see how many more, I'm sure it'll work, but see how much more degrees we can climb. So, but here it is. We'll get it torn apart and see what all these good parts do. See what we want to do first. And this one does have the brushless setup. It's got the FureTech kit. I just put that in there with the Traxxas TQI receiver. That's all working good. It makes it a whole different truck. Freaking awesome. Need to get the tires off this guy. Get it out of the way. These wheels are just the Endura cheapies, but they work good. They just take forever to put together, but all those little screws. But they've been fine for me. I did have one set that came with some of the bolts that were too big, so I had to get some other bolts. And that's actually why this wheel has a missing screw, is because one of those bolts, I didn't realize it was the wrong size and it broke off in there. So that was my bad. But I mean, I guess it was their bad for sending the wrong bolts. Okay, so here we are. So we got to do both knuckles, front diff cover, rear diff cover. You can get to these bolts without doing it, without taking those off. Whatever's easier for you. But that gives me a little bit more access, especially with the drill, to get right there. These do come with new bolts, so you'll use the bolts that come with them. The bolts that are in them now are designed to go into plastic. There's the plastic guy, doesn't weigh anything. Throw these out of the way. It's hard to get your hands in here, that's for sure. Our new fancy CCRC diff cover is going to go on there. Like so. Looks pretty fancy. Again, we got the screws provided from those guys. See the difference, are a little bit longer. They have a metal thread on them instead of the coarser thread for the plastic. Okay, so that guy's on there. Looks good. Cool. So now we'll do the front. So I'm going to do the knuckles next. Well, I'm going to take the knuckles off, set them to the side, take these shocks off, drop the axle out, do the front diff cover, do the brace here for the servo, the aluminum mount. I guess it's a mount, not a brace, but same thing. And then put the knuckles back on and be good to go. So here we go. And what I'll do is I'll make this knuckle up, and then I'll set it to the side. That way it'll be ready to go, and then I can set it to the side because I have to swap these bearings over, which mine does have bearings in it. I did do the bearing kit, and I do recommend the bearing kit. I think it's a positive thing. I think they should have came with bearings to begin with, if you ask me. The bushings work fine. You won't notice it until you put bearings in. Then you're like, well, I should have done that already. Try to just pop these out. Not get too crazy. I don't want to mess them up, but sometimes they're tight in there. There we go. Got her out. So I don't know if these are labeled left and right. I guess I'll just have to hold them up here. That looks like the correct one to me. Yep. So it's easy to tell by the... So there you go. There's a difference. This definitely has some weight to it, which is the whole point of it. But we'll put these existing bearings. They are pretty new. I did just put them in, but get these bearings in. Give it a little push with something flat. I just pushed it with the back of my driver there, which seemed to work fine. I'm just going to have this axle in there ready to go. I can even put all this back on. That way I don't lose it. Stuff is so small, it makes it tough sometimes. Pretty simple. Just swap your bearings over or bushings. If you are going to do this job, it's a good time to would be a good time to swap to bushings. So it'd be a good time to do that. Nice looking aluminum mount, CCXRC right there. Get the servo in it, like so. Look at that, it sits right down in there. No big deal. That last one's gonna hold all the suspension, those suspension links together, so we gotta put those top links in. This part's kind of a pain to me, because you gotta line up, like, you gotta get the drive shaft in, then on top of getting the drive shaft in, you gotta get these lower links in, and get them lined up, and it's like, I don't know, it's just a lot of things at once. It's definitely doable. I've done it before. Probably an easier way, but I'll just keep doing it. I do still have the plastic links. I'm not that fancy yet. I haven't broken any, so I don't really see the point in swapping them. Unless I'm getting like some high clearance ones, but I haven't really seen any high clearance ones for this guy. I see them for the SX24s. But... all right, hopefully that gets rid of some of our flex. Well, not suspension flex. We want to keep that, but the flex that we don't want, this mount, this thing, man. Every time when you turn that thing, you could just see it twist, 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 twist. It was pretty bad. Which you don't want that. You want your steering, you want a good steering feel. So I'm gonna get these links back in, get the shocks back on. I know the 18 scale, 24 scale stuff just went crazy lately. A lot of the hobby shops, they got all kinds of stuff. Mine locally really don't. The ones out of town do. I mean, they have like SCX24s, just walls of stuff. Here in town, they don't really, that I know of, do, but who knows. The store closest to me is just all Traxxas, which I like Traxxas, but, and this, I mean, this is Traxxas stuff, but they'll only carry, like, for example, only Traxxas accessories, you know. So here we go with no brass. It made 51 degrees. I tried bumping it up to 52. It went about halfway up and kept flipping over. So 51 was all we got. So here we go up the ramp with all the brass installed. Got the diff covers, the knuckles on there, and now we're going for it. We make this one 54 degrees, so we increased 3 degrees. That's a win in my book. Made a difference. That you can see and you can notice, so it was a worthy upgrade. I did try it multiple times, also bumped it up to 55 degrees, tried it multiple times, and it would go halfway up the ramp and flip over. So 54 was the max. So here we are in the backyard, just running a little bit, seeing how it does. It does definitely do better. I can tell when it gets in the real steep parts. Doesn't flip over as easy. It was real bad about flipping over backwards. So you can tell that weight in the front really helped. Also, I've never made it over the top of this, and I actually made it over the top. It took me a few tries. What I've tried multiple times before, and there was no way I could make it over the top, and I did make it. So I think it was a win. Brass is always a good thing, especially down low and in the front where you need it. all the parts I got from CCXRC, and everything went on great, worked great, did exactly what it was supposed to do. There's a lot of brands out there, but that's the one I chose, and it seemed to work out great. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Oh, got it. I have not been able to do that. So, whether it was my skill getting better or the brass working, I finally made it over the top.